The ModernJeeper Show, the show about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
Well, hey, Modern Jeepers, is another episode of the ModernJeeper Show with me, Matson from ModernJeeper and Mr. ModernJeeper Corey Osborne.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, we're missing Jessie today, huh?
We are. She on the way back home, we stopped off in Oklahoma. She's actually taking a day to grab her mom, and she's bringing her mom up to Colorado and is going to go to Moab with us.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Has her mom ever done anything like that?
Never.
Wow. That's cool. That's very cool.
So yeah, she stayed behind a day, and coming back in the last coming back from Florida. Well, we'll talk about all this, but what an interesting time to be traveling, and weather-wise, I've got a whole bunch of thoughts that crossed my mind as we came back across from Florida. But no, things are good. I will say I don't recommend people leave their house for 5 weeks straight
without having somebody watch over it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were some folks watching over it. I mean, I don't know about folks. I guess squirrels and birds, they don't really count, maybe?
Yeah, well, no, they do. You know, we have a new awning in the front of our building, and there's a couple of doves hanging out, and doves are nice and all, but I thought, okay, there's a couple of doves hanging around the awning of a building. I better get with Rob and say, hey, let's figure this out. Hey, it looks like we have our guest joining us.
Yeah, she's dialing in, I think.
Nice. Hey, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, there she is. Hi. So, hey, Carrie, you want to introduce her real quick?
Absolutely. Rachel, can you hear us okay?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah,
just
perfect.
Wonderful. Did you just get home?
We got in about 1 o'clock this morning.
Okay. So I've known Rachel for, I don't know, quite a long time. At least 5-6 years, something like that.
I think it's longer than that, Corey.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah.
She in the last few years started doing a lot of shows and whatnot for Bartact. And so she's part of our little carny circus as we travel around the country. And she's representing Bartact. So glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely.
Corey and I don't even know what were you just talking about? Like it's only been 5 seconds ago. This is what it's going to be today. My mind is just not here. So we were talking about. So, we were talking about property and you being gone.
Yeah.
And like but it's how do you handle it, Rachel? Like Corey's gone for 5 weeks from his place, and it's just madness.
Well, I'm blessed to have my parents staying at my property and overseeing the construction that you can kind of see going on behind me there.
Nice.
I
can't see anything beyond the Jeep.
Well, that's kind of the point. Look how beautiful, right? Stage that backdrop for us because I didn't know what I was going to do. And Corey, you know how it is when you get home and life and the show life and trying to make them intermingle is always entertaining.
Oh yeah, I came home. I got home about midnight last night and drove from Oklahoma City straight home. So it's about a 15 hour drive through. I think I drove through all seasons just yesterday.
Yeah. The photo you sent me of the rainstorm was quite entertaining.
Yeah, the massive storms and hail and snow and rain and then sun and then construction and
Well, it's funny because Will's talking about, hey, he was going to do a little Rubicon trip, but apparently there's going to be snow on the Rubicon. Like there's a weather advisory. I'm sorry, just to check, we're in May, right? I just want to And out here, it's been like 80, 90, 100 degree days. And then supposedly all of a sudden we're going to have snow on the Rubicon. Something's not right.
Well, I had this analogy yesterday. I'm like, somebody must have said something to Mother Nature and about it being like the end of spring or almost summer. And Mother Nature said, yeah, here, hold my beer.
Well, that's interesting. You think Mother Nature's a beer drinker, huh? I think she's into the shine myself.
Yeah.
We were at Jeep Beach and it snowed here, like 3 inches, like accumulation.
Wow. At Jeep Beach. Snow.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on, people?
Yeah. It's funny because when I left Colorado, I went around and I turned on I have some automatic sprinklers over part of the yard, and they're a mess and they were leaking everywhere. But I turned them on because I didn't want stuff to die. Well, it turns out, being gone for 5 weeks here, it never really got hot. In fact, we had snow and rain while I was gone, and now I've got a field of weeds. Like, it just. Yeah, be careful what you try. You try and guess what's going to happen, and then it never works out.
Well, that's the funny part about buying. Like, we're looking for property right now, and our listeners know I've been trying to get about 10 acres for my family and my kids. And this time of the year, it's starting to transition, because when you're looking for places in March and April, everything's green. You start getting out to the properties in May and June, and everything starts drying out. Now this beautiful green property looks like a bunch of weeds, right? And it's just the way it is. But all of a sudden, the wife's feedback is, well, it's really dry back here. Yeah, that's what happens in the foothills of California, right? But thank God somebody invented irrigation systems, and we can have everything nice and green again.
Move east, you won't have those problems.
Oh, I wish we could. The entire company shift it and move it, start moving east. Although I'm not sure, like, it would be like Tennessee. Where are you at, Rachel? You're in Ohio.
Southern Ohio.
Washington Courthouse. It says Washington Court. Is that its actual town? It says Washington Courthouse,
but it
Ohio.
Lies.
It lies?
No, it lies.
So, but Ohio, Tennessee, there's a lot of Californians moving to Tennessee, which I'm sure the people in Tennessee don't really appreciate. I think California is infecting the entire country. We're going out to like Idaho and Tennessee, and it's not
Colorado.
just the good. It's not just the good Californians.
No, in fact, this morning on the news, they talked about how Colorado real estate prices are so out of control, and they're talking about commercial properties as well, because all these people are now working from home. So all these brand new buildings in Denver are down in occupancy, and there's all kinds of incentives to keep company in them. But when companies are going, hey, wait a second, we can have our work staff be at home, and we don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars a month on this commercial space. But even residential now, residential is crazy, and I'm probably not going to get the numbers quite exact, but there was some real estate reports. Of course, my past life was in the title insurance industry, and in 2014 in Telluride, so a higher end community, of course, in Western Colorado. But in 2014, there was like $40 million in the month of April. That was their total number of transactions, $40 million in a month. And that was a pretty good month. Well, this April was $400 million in transactions.
Wow.
So perspective-wise,
how many transactions? I'm curious if just the average dollar amount was much higher.
Well, even in 2014, the price per square foot. Well, even when I was heavily involved there, square foot prices were around $1,400 a square foot.
Wow!
And I heard they're upwards of $3,000 now.
So when I'm looking at it someplace that's $400 a square foot out in California, that's probably a good deal.
Oh yeah. Well, again, this is a resort community, so
right, rich resort community. That's crazy. Well, as you can see, Rachel, we talk about.
You could probably buy the county here for that.
It's funny you say that. Rustin, who was one of the co-founders of Rubicon Express, and he at some point got bought out by Ryan Wallace, who I think Ryan Wallace is somewhere east of California. I think he's like the city manager now. After Rubicon Express was purchased by Trans, he's city manager someplace. But anyway, Rustin early on sold out his shares to Ryan, and there's a town in Oregon that apparently Rustin owns most of. Like he's one of those guys. He moved into a town and started buying up the real estate in the town and the main street and all that. And he's like, yeah, a majority owner of the entire town.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
There you go. Now, there's
Life
been
goals.
movies about that. In fact, it's kind of funny. I was telling Corey about a property I was looking at that literally, Corey, as I drove into this property, it was so overgrown. And so I felt like it was the beginning of a horror film. Like, the family that drives in and says, oh, this is great. It has so much potential. What a great deal. This is awesome. And then you just start getting the creepy feeling, the Amityville horror things happening to the exactly. Thanks. So Rachel's got the sound effects. I like it. So as you can see, Rachel, welcome to the ModernJeeper Show, the show where we talk about anything, including Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
Yes.
So it's nothing's off the table.
So we're gonna put aside the I know what you cloaked last summer and just move that movie to the film festival or something.
I've got to use that.
Right, of course.
I steal things all the time from our guests. Welcome. I'm going to use that. I'm writing that down now.
As he reaches for his pen.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I definitely want to make sure we talk about, this past month of being on the road and seeing people at Jeep events all over the country, starting with Daytona, and then we went down to Jeeps on the island, of course, and then we ended up with the Florida Jeep Jam in Panama. And I just think it's interesting that how diverse and how different people are at Jeep events, even within the same state. And Daytona was very, very different than the folks that we saw in Panama. And I know Rachel probably has some thoughts to that, but I think that I guess that's what keeps it unique, right? That's why we do the shows, is because everywhere we go, it's a different group of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say that most people in Panama City and in the Panhandle don't identify with the rest of Florida. That's just my experience and what some of my favorite crew members and locals around Panama City have told me.
How was the show? How was Panama? What did you think of Panama this year?
I will always support that show. The promoter's a good friend. His wife is a good friend. We have a couple of crew members that live in the area. So the show is great. The experience is great. Anytime I'm not in Ohio for a month is great.
Well, we actually had Jamie on the week prior, and I completely agree. It's nice to go to a place, and I think logistically, he's still somebody that even after the first day we were set up, and he came out to the trailer where we were parked, and he was like, "Oh, here's what we should have done." And so it's those kind of things where he's looking at how we're attracting customers as well, and how it works for the event to better the event. He's like, and he said, if you want to move, we can put everything down and we'll help you get everything relocated. And I'm like, no, but for next year, it's that whole planning thing. And logistically, to have a coordinator go, hey, we can do this better for you or for whomever. And it makes it more fun for the participants as well. Heavens, that parking lot out there had to be at least 2,000 Jeeps parked in there.
Wow.
And to deal with that kind of traffic itself,
That's why Corey likes keeping the ModernJeeper Adventures at like 10 to 12. If it gets over 20, forget it. 30, no way. 3,000 people like in a brew fest, so like I do. Yeah, Corey be like, "Give me a beer. I'm going in the corner.
I'm out. I'm gonna go stand over here."
But so let's
going back on what.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Going back on what Corey was saying about that event and certain events that seem to, I don't want to say care more, but show more interest in how the vendors feel and what they can do better. Those are the events that are close to our hearts. Jamie always seems to go above and beyond. And there's another couple events out there that I feel that way about. And those are the events that we continue to go back to year after year. And well, hopefully year after year, right? Like last year we did like 6 shows, right? I mean,
Right.
Yeah,
normally we do 27, 30 a year. Last year we got 6.
Yeah, Corey, how did you do so many shows? How many you did little shows last year? I mean, you didn't do a lot, but you still had as much mileage as you did. Like you still put 40,000 miles in that thing.
Yeah, and we just made it. Last year was all about us going and stopping and seeing jobbers and the small clubs and just kind of, if somebody had some little thing going on, we were there. And then, but yeah, the big shows that ended up falling apart. Sometimes we were still in those locations, and there turns out there'd be a few people that still would show up. But we're completely different as a vendor, as our listeners know, and as Rachel knows. We're not really out there selling anything. We're more providing, I guess, the help and knowledge that we provide every event. So to be with a smaller group and get a little gathering together at a shop worked really well last year.
Yeah, and it works great. Now let's go back to this, because we have a guest here and we haven't even really properly we're talking about all kinds of stuff, which is great. I think Rachel should just be a part of our normal crew now. She just blends herself in so well. It's like, it's great. So Rachel, let's talk about you.
Yeah, let's talk about you.
Yeah, welcome to the ModernJeeper Show. Welcome to our little foray. But where did you start? How did you start in the Jeeping? Why Jeeps? Tell us about yourself.
Well, when I was a very little girl, I had a Barbie Jeep, and I knew when I grew up that I was gonna have a Jeep. And I don't know, in 2003, I worked for a Jeep dealership in Columbus, Ohio, and this 04 yellow Columbia edition came in on the transport truck, and I claimed it. We had a little drop-off circle there where the transports dropped off, and I legitimately put my first mile on it in reverse, going around that little transport circle. I claimed it. It was mine.
Columbia edition. So what was a Columbia edition?
It was an X that had special seats that had the Columbia logo in them, and you got a jacket and
the Columbia brand.
It's
like Eddie Bauer brand. Yeah,
the wheels that were on the. Yeah.
There was a trend for that for a little
brand.
while, huh? Like the Eddie Bauer Ford and the Columbia. Okay, and the Columbia. Yeah,
the Laura Croft edition Wrangler about the same time, and shortly after that, I found Spike. Right. And I started stocking Spike a long time ago. And Corey, I was in love with that Jeep. And Golden Spike holds a special place, but we've had these conversations privately. I loved Spike. I had a little brown dog who was named Spike. Corey had a brown dog. His Jeep was named Spike. We just became fast friends.
Nice. So you've pretty much been in the industry then a long time. Jeep dealership to what?
There was a thing to go to Moab. Then I hauled my TJ out there behind a 1500 Tahoe. We drove 36 hours straight. I got a phone call on a Thursday night. We were working on a CJ outside of Zanesville, and they said, be in Moab 8 a.m. Monday, go on a trail with Jesse Combs. So I did, and it was kind of life-changing. Towed the Jeep all the way out there, drove 36 hours straight towing it. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And what was that trip like?
Yeah, it was absolutely a last thing.
And was that your Columbia edition Jeep?
Yeah. So I wheeled most of Moab following, famous people like Waylon Campbell and Jesse Combs and East Coast Fred and, all the greats of that time and currently. I mean, I still think they're all fantastic people. And it was basically a bone stock TJ on 35s and no lockers and limited slip, and it was a manual, and I'm on the East Coast. Wheel speed is something that matters here. Having a manual is kind of nice here, but you get out there on the Red Rock and people think that you've tried to kill them when you let it coast back a little bit on the edge of was that Cane Creek?
Yeah.
He still thinks I tried to kill him, and I promise I was just scaring him. It's a constant argument. All in fun. Yeah. And then we met KC when Jason Cobb was the director for KC. We met him, and back when ambassador wasn't a dirty word, we were KC ambassadors and traveled a lot, and just one thing leads to another, and yeah, you meet people, and it's just life begins, right? We went from that to
how long have you been doing stuff with Bartact?
Oh goodness. 5-6 years.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah. I took the show over fully as the event coordinator 3 years ago. This is our 4th season.
Mm-hmm.
Our 4th season with me as the event coordinator. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, most people don't know that in between the time I sold Jeeps and this time, I was a head chef for 10 years.
Oh, wow. So,
yeah, being a head chef, being in a kitchen certainly cuts into your weekend Jeeping time. You can't run a kitchen and not be there, during services on Fridays and Saturdays.
Right.
So I decided I wanted out, and that's when everything started. The Moab trip, and started building the Minion, which is what I call that Columbia edition, and I still have most of it. Which is why the barn project is happening behind us. There's going to be a lift, and the Minion is going to get off of the trailer that it's been sitting on for.
I finally get a real shop.
Yeah, AJ finally gets a real shop. He's very excited. But it's been sitting on a trailer for 3 years now.
Yeah,
just
long time.
Waiting for its time to come back. Yeah.
Wow.
I always said I would never buy a JK. The electronics still baffle me, and now I have all kinds of fanciness sitting behind me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I miss the simple days of 4.0s and
well, one of the things about the Jeep world is you never say never, because oh yeah, I'll never have one of those modern ones. I can't tell you how many customers converted from their old CJ to a JK back in the day, right? I went on a buddy's ride, and oh my God, I didn't know what I was missing.
It's funny. This morning I was going through my emails and whatnot, and sorry, I'm dodging the sunlight that's coming through my ceiling here.
You're glowing, Corey. It's fantastic.
When you go to the Jeep's website now and you want to buy a Jeep, there are 5 options for motors. 5.
Yeah.
They had to do something about that 3.6.
Well, true. I mean, and I pulled up some other statistics at April sales for Jeep. The 4xe, so the 2-liter turbo hybrid 4xe was second in all auto sales, only to the Corvette.
Really?
Yeah.
And that must be like dealers buying them, because we have yet to find a customer, even somebody local, like, hey, I've got it, because we haven't had our hands on one yet.
Right. I was surprised. I was like, what? The Vet? Okay.
Or do they do all their pre-sales, and they do like we might do, is like put all the pre-sales into 1 month?
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, that's when they officially got it accounted for. So 6 months of pre-sales went, oh, let's account for them this month. Hey, look, we got a tick.
Well, that's the fun thing.
Get out of the Corvette's down.
You can make those numbers be any direction you want if you're the accountant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why they have laws. And remember, it's not accounting principles and rules. It's generally accepted accounting principles. GAAP.
Right.
Generally accepted. Right. That'd be like generally accepted standards of science.
Generally accepted.
According to the generally accepted standards of science, COVID could be contagious. Might have to wear a mask.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh, we're not going to go there. Nope.
When Corey brought this up to me yesterday while we were both driving across the country in very different directions, I'll have to admit I I had honestly never listened to a podcast.
Wow.
That's fair.
We have a
Yeah, not just yours, but
virgin.
nobody's.
Nobody's.
So I spent most of yesterday afternoon driving through Tennessee, listening. I started it at Jamie and Brian's and started going backwards. And Matson, you and I have been, social media friends for a long time, but I don't think we've ever done a face-to-face. And I hadn't listened to you speak very much. And as you're talking through a couple of these podcasts, I was like, okay, we're going to get along just fine.
We're just crazy enough to work out.
Yes. Yes.
That's
and
what I was saying. Just in the first few minutes, you'd be on the podcast like, okay, she's a co-host.
Well, so one of the reasons we're doing this outside and AJ staged, the rock slide Jeep and my JK behind me is because all of your talk about corralling cats.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been gone for a month, right? And on the other side of the door that you can't see that's right there, I have 4 cats. So all I could envision was us going into different conversations about corralling cats because every once in a while one of them would jump on my lap. So we decided to be outside.
Well, that's great because we have I hear the birds tweeting.
Right.
And it's not, we probably all need to do this. I've done a couple episodes outside. Corey, you did it out of Jeep. But you haven't really done an episode outside around your house, have you?
No, because service is so bad. So if I go outside, I'm going to lose everybody.
Yeah. That's probably why you go outside,
Corey,
to lose everybody.
Yeah.
You're going to be in Ohio a couple times this year, right?
I am. And you had mentioned, Jesse and I were looking at the calendar. One of the better ones is going to be available, and we may be able to hit that. I think it's like 2 weeks after Bantam. Is that correct? Something like that?
Something like that. Without pulling up my calendar on my phone right now, yes.
So
maybe we just schedule a outdoor podcast with one of yours parked out here,
There you
By
go.
then there'll be a pool and, all the things.
Ooh, pool. Yeah. See, I got to get out more.
We just moved in the middle of the coronavirus last year. And moving during that time was very entertaining. So we're still trying to deal with contractors and the price of lumber and all of the things to get this place what we wanted.
Should have been.
Yeah, price of lumber. So what I know out here, it's ridiculous what the cost is for a 2x4 now. Well,
I think that I have enough lumber in my barn right now that I could probably trade it to Rock Slide to make this JT actually mine. I think I could.
Oh, is that the new NFT? Lumber? Like it's lumber coin. Wood coin.
Lumber coin. Absolutely.
Don't take any wooden nickel. There's got to be a play on there. There's a play on words.
They're worth more than silver eagles now, right? Like those little wooden nickels. I'm showing my age.
Yeah, just wooden nickels. They're worth more.
The card's made out of wood.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, you got to show us your guy there hanging out. So I mean, you can't just.
Sorry.
You can't just have his voice there and not like.
No, you can't see AJ till I see Jesse. Where's Jesse?
Jesse's in Oklahoma.
She's at home, she's at her mom's home.
Yeah, I was going to say that is her home now.
Yes.
She's not at home. Hey,
AJ.
Sorry about that.
How's it going?
I'm not better looking. How's it going, guys?
What are you trying to say? You got a face perfect for radio?
I actually used to work in radio too. So
did you? Oh, you got the voice.
Yeah, I used to work at a small station at Columbus years and years back. I was an overnight guy. I worked from midnight to 6 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So half the time nobody ever saw me or heard me.
Oh man, though. Well, you got the great calls. What kind of music was it?
It was a rock station. It was more like new rock, but
you got the 2 o'clock in the morning drunken request calls.
Oh God, you always got those. And then sometimes you're like, that's ridiculous, or I can't even play that. Like, who the hell is that? Like,
right.
Occasionally
we get those now sometimes, and we're not even on the radio.
I know.
When I was like 12 or 13.
Those shows where you're allowed to have beverages, and by the end of the day, the consumer is always more entertaining.
Right. Right. I had a when I was like 12 or 13, I had a little gig in LA, and it was like an obscure record label, and they would hire us to just go out and call, like do requests to the various stations. And it's like, why I'm calling this rock station? This isn't even rock music. and I'm requesting this music just to try to get it in front of the DJ's minds, right? And it was the legal way of doing it. And it was crazy because it was like this guy thinks I'm a total idiot calling him to play some sort of ballad music or whatever it was on this particular stupid like one-off.
Was it Mr. Big? Were you trying to hear the next to be with you?
Yeah, just try to just call him up and do the request, and it'd be fine. Like, dude, stop calling. Just stop it.
We used to have we actually had Sunday nights at my rock station. Sunday nights there was local stuff. Mm-hmm. So like you could actually, if you were like a local band or something and wanted to get your stuff out there, you can send I don't know, either a flash drive, mostly back then it was CDs, and you can send it there and have a chance to have your stuff actually played on the radio. And some Columbus local talent was actually good. I actually did make it, but
that's cool. That's cool.
Floppy disk?
One of the alternative rock stations out here used to do that, but they've gotten to the point now where they're all like centrally programmed by some computer back in, and you get, and then pre-recorded DJ voices. It's amazing when you actually listen to the station, you got a live DJ going. That's so unheard of these days.
There's very few of them left, really. Like my station was one of them. There was an older rock station. It was also one of them. They called it classic rock, but the older I get, they're now calling it iconic rock.
That way they can play Nirvana.
Yeah, that way they can play Nirvana. I remember listening to that station as a kid, and they're like, "Oh, QFM 96 classic rock station." I'm like, "Oh, cool. You're gonna play Zeppelin and stuff like that." And it's like, as I'm getting older, they're playing Foo Fighters and Zeppelin. I'm like, "Oh, I'm old finally." And now it's iconic, so I don't feel bad.
Yeah, Green Day's iconic rock.
Oh
now.
Yeah. So, and they still play the older stuff too, but it's all iconic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, alternative now. I played an alternative station and it was like, what is this? And it's they just can't keep track. But now we're feeling really old. Like, I don't know what I have no idea what my kid's 5 years old, and I don't have any idea what the music is he's gonna be listening to. All I can say is I'm very proud that his favorite music, like my little 5-year-old Josh, he walks up to Alexa and wants to hear things like Back in Black and
there you go.
And anything by Queen. I mean, that's his like go-to, right? And then he likes to break dance, but he break dance to Brick House. Like we'll play Brick House and he'll break dance. So I got him kind of properly. Yeah, I think it's a good integration. My 3-year-old doesn't care at all. He just wants to climb things and jump off stuff and break stuff. So he's not the musically inclined one. Maybe I can get him into the drums.
It's like you remember your parents telling you probably your music sucks. It's not what it used to be.
Oh yeah.
That's the same way I feel now. Like I'm one of those people like 90s rock. I miss 90s rock because you could definitely tell like each band from each other. And now I'm getting to the point where I feel like my parents and like everything sounds the same.
Right.
Everything's the same.
So,
it's amazing.
Everything does sound the same.
You just said that because that's exactly the phrase my father told me. He goes, this music, it just seems like it's just a conflagration of sounds put together. As my father said to me when I was like, that's exactly what you just said.
It is. It's true. Like I listen to my parents' stuff and all the bands back then. Like that's what I grew up with. I still listen to that stuff. I still have a turntable. I still listen to records myself.
We own vinyl.
I enjoy that stuff.
Nice.
But like it's like the newer rock, because I do listen to that newer rock and hell, even the newer country nowadays. It all sounds the same. I couldn't tell you which band's what now, but at least like I feel like music died in the 90s when my parents music died in like the 70s or something. I really can't tell which band's what anymore.
20 years from now, it'll be like, it'll be like listening to the Ubangi tribe talk. It's going to be pops and clicks.
Well, that's it. It's just you're not even going to hear anything. They're just going to be like streamed directly into the chip in your head.
Oh yeah,
and you just do a little Turk and change the station. Change station.
Yeah,
just change station.
That's not far off. One of our crew members has a pair of sunglasses that you can you can hear the music playing, but nobody else can.
It's not the bone condensing ones either.
No.
Which that one creeps me out. The bone ones that actually vibrate off your temple or something.
Right. So, and that's now, of course, the millennials and others, they're all into multitasking, right? They sit here, do their work where they've got like 3 other movies playing and a video game going at the same time, right? So what's going to happen with music? Music is going to be that way. It's like, what are you listening to? Well, I'm listening to 3 different songs right now. I got and I've also got a little classic going on in your background. It's like it's just going to be data. just data being inputted directly into the head.
It's the satellite noise.
That's right. And to tie this into Jeeps.
Didn't that all start with the vaccine? Oh, wait, I digress.
Oh, ooh.
Matson is rubbing off on Corey.
Nice.
The way I look at it, it wouldn't be a microchip. Everybody's got phones anyways. They can track you that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And that's that whole, like, what are you wearing? And so that's that, you know, the little bone vibration. What's it going to be now? It's just going to be vibrating through your hip bone because you got your phone sitting on the side. Yeah, that's okay. So that's okay. Between aliens and UFOs and that's all about aliens and UFOs.
Please don't
that's
get him started on aliens.
Yeah.
Please.
Aliens and UFOs. That's it. Tucker Carlson last night. I think I just lost 3 listeners because I said those 2 words. And if that's the case, I apologize because just gotta go with it. Go with the flow.
You know, it's there's so much going on in our industry. There's so much going on in the world. Like, and it doesn't matter if it's politics or in sports or in the whole business sector. All of these actors and actresses and all their little award shows that they're having. Like, it's just funny to me that there's just so much activity. Huh?
They're still having those?
Apparently, I saw something on TV about one, and of course they're all boycotting them except for the ones where they're getting awards. I don't know. It's odd.
No, I'm never home to watch that stuff anyways.
Yeah,
right.
The greatest thing that's happened during the pandemic is I really quit caring about Hollywood altogether.
I don't get to see any of that stuff anyway. I don't get to watch anything. All I watch are things like Octonauts. You know, that's all my kids are watching now. Octonauts. And at the end of every 15-minute segment, it's the Creature Report. So in my head right now, there's the song Creature Report, which I guess it's better than something else being stuck in my head. But yeah, it's glad to help. So on to Jeeps. I don't know how to segue this. Other than the fact
that podcast. I'm sorry.
The stereo systems. This will be the segue. The stereo systems in the JL are very nice. But let's back to Jeeps and back to Bartact. I mean, you're with Bartact.
Okay.
And quite frankly, it's I think looking here, I think Will's got Bartact, John's got Bartact seat covers. I don't know who else. I think even Chris has Bartact, or he's going to get some because he's got his YJ that he's doing some stuff with. But so tell us about Bartact. Tell us, you started there. How did you get started there? And and what's just talk. Tell us. Share the story.
Tell
your spiel.
There's a lot of story. But let's just say I'm here doing what I am now, and the owner of Bartact, Mitch. Corey, I think you know Mitch. I'm not sure. I mean, he's out there. Don't all Californians know each other? Matson, you have to know him.
We avoid each other in California.
If you don't, you should. I'm sorry?
We were told it was 12 feet, not 6 feet. We're supposed to avoid each other. We're not even allowed to talk to each other. We don't even look at each other in the eyes. We're shamed. It's shame.
You guys would get along great. If you don't know each other, you should. I talked to him yesterday after Corey brought this up, and kind of found out what I am and am not allowed to talk about on this podcast. And
that's
Tanner
funny.
is
Tell Tanner he can wait
right now.
Tell Tanner he can.
Yeah,
wait.
I just did. He can be patient. So what I am allowed to talk about is that we own a patent on seats themselves. So sometime before the end of the year, you should see us doing not only seat covers but seats as well.
Wow! So like a little suspension seat system or what?
Yeah. Rumor has it. There's going to be recline mechanisms, and they're going to be very nice and compete with some other brands that are out there.
Gotcha.
Some of our other friends.
So not only do we do seat covers, we're doing seats. We do tie down straps, axle straps, all the soft goods that you could ever want for your Jeep. Fan famous for dash bags, and one of my favorite is our visor covers, because you just don't realize how much stuff you can stick in the MOLLE webbing on those visor covers.
You don't realize how many Slim Jims you can stack up in there.
You ever been on a trail and just needed a Slim Jim? Let me tell you, my visor cover is lined with Slim Jims, chapstick, sunglasses, pens.
I think I met Mitch before it was Bartact. Trek Armor.
Trek Armor.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember Trek Armor brand. I didn't realize those were the same.
Absolutely. The bicycle company didn't like that we were using their name, so we changed names shortly before I joined the team.
Yeah, because Trek Armor came out with a pretty. And it was a pretty phenomenal like rollout from I remember when they first came out. It was like the new thing. And so, what year would that have been?
Oh, now you're getting into quizzing me. It was before I was with the company.
14, 15.
Yeah, because I think I remember seeing them for the first time out at. In fact, it was I probably ran into Trek Armor through Troy at which is now at Romer, but at the time I think he was JK Adventure Forum or something like that, and Troy Titani, and that was been at Off-Road Expo, seeing them for the first time.
Sure, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
That's an event you will run into the owner at. Yeah.
So so at what point, I'm just curious, do you know the story behind the name Bartact and why?
Yes. Well, it's a certain type of stitch, right?
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Oh.
But hold on. AJ wants to, the Salesman of the Year is coming back online.
So
nice.
It's actually,
you're not in shot. You're not in screen. Get back in the screen.
Like leaning over.
Get back in your seat.
Yeah, show off your AMC G-Pat.
What's that?
The AMC G-Pat. I love it.
Oh yeah, that's my trademark hat.
It is.
Well, it's their trademark. I just wear it. But
good correction. Good correction.
The Bartact is an actual type of stitch, and you'll find it throughout our seat covers and everything like that. But we, kind of changed it up to be tactical because the seat covers do apply a sense of tactability. Am I making up words now?
I like that word.
We do that here.
Yeah, make up words. We should make our own dictionary. But yeah, so a Bartact is a type of it's like a type of double stitch, and you'll find it around the whole seat cover pretty much, and especially on the PALS webbing or the MOLLE webbing. It's a very durable stitch, very very nice and tight, and never have to worry about it coming out.
So Trek Armor actually started because the Navy SEALs needed seat covers for their Tacomas.
Oh, okay.
So we started, well, then I shouldn't say I wasn't a part of it then, but Mitch started doing seat covers for the Navy SEALs for their Tacomas. So all of our seat covers that have the MOLLE webbing built in, it's actually, it's mil spec MOLLE webbing. So any, veterans or active service members that have all of that PALS webbing compatible pouches and gear, it's exactly the same. Like you can take, your products from the armed sources from your service and put them directly onto our seat covers or visors or the webbing itself that we do that's Velcro, so that if you have a tow rig that has carpet somewhere, you can roll out this strip that we have and attach your existing or ours to that system.
Well, that's cool. So Mitch was he military, or how did he get hooked up there? We're gonna have to get him on the podcast now.
Yeah, and I actually tried to work that out, but it didn't quite work out that way. Mitch was actually a minor league baseball player that was signed to the Giants, I believe. We actually have AJ's going to get his card. So his last name is Walk, and he's a pitcher.
Right.
Or was a pitcher, right?
Really?
So a pitcher named Walk, it's just
Walk.
Here he comes with the card.
Wow.
I don't know how well you can see that, but it's in a case, and we
Nice.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
This is from the Norwich Navigators in 2004.
Norwich. Where's Norwich?
Connecticut.
It's right next to Sandwich and
Yes.
Norway.
Yes. Right in between, right in the middle there. Wait, I know how this show goes. That was not a paid endorsement, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. So guy goes from being a minor league pitcher and then goes on and starts this company. And now Bartact, I mean, you guys are sold around the world now, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is great. And where's all the product made?
Everything's made in America, in Temecula, Marietta, California.
Oh, so the same, same restrictions, same restrictions. Oh yeah. Temecula is actually the birthplace of Metal Cloak, is when it was Rev 111 back in the day, but it's also the same wonderful restrictions of California that we had to deal with, and the fun and games of being in California and all the wonderful costs of doing business in California, which is.
And now you understand why I run the road show from the East Coast.
Yes. Well, yeah, and it's also easier, just like with Corey. Just I don't think it would be a lot harder to be going out of California for every trip. Even though I've tried to convince him before Jesse came along, I tried to convince him to move out here, and thankfully he just said I was an idiot and stopped talking.
I knew Corey before Jesse and Jesse before Corey.
Wow. So, wow. Huh.
I couldn't be happier that you two found each other, because now I get to see you both all the time.
Well, I was going to say, did you have anything to do with that?
No, I won't take credit for that. Not at all.
Nice. I don't know if I've ever heard that. I don't know if I've ever heard the story of how you guys met.
About me and Jesse?
Yeah. I just remember you talking about like, hey, yeah, there's been a couple of girls I've been, I've met on the road, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, and then Jesse was I think made a decision, because at one point you were playing the field, buddy. I mean, you were just out there. I was even trying to hook you up. I was even trying to hook you up with what the girl from Mech Magnets out here, Monica. Yeah, I was trying to, like, the two of you out of just be. Yeah, it didn't work.
It's funny. It's just like each of us, we have our own little idiocracies and our own little way of doing things. And for me, after my divorce and whatnot, I stayed pretty busy. So I had seen Jesse at a couple of events in Oklahoma running the CTI trailer, and then literally, she kind of stalked me, and she showed up in Moab and hung out at the CTI trailer, and that's really where we first started to talk and whatnot. And then we went down to Crystal Beach for an event, one of Axel Stammel's shows, the Unlimited Off-Road Expo show down in Crystal Beach. That was an interesting show. But that's kind of the first time we did
some work with them for a while.
Yeah. It's the first time we ever spent any time together. And then since then, I mean, she had her hair salon in Oklahoma, and we did the back and forth thing for, I don't know, a year more.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Yeah.
I just remember you and I going through divorces at the same time, and
yeah.
There's a small group of people that understand what this, Turkish Bazaar Roadshow life is about, and trying to balance significant others and the roadshow, and that's so there's Corey and Jesse's backstory. So AJ and I's backstory. I was going through a divorce and had a surgery, and I had like 80% of my liver removed when I was 30. And I decided it changes your view on life, right? So I bought a camper and ended up being a trail guide at a local park that was part of UA 2015. They came through Clay Valley, which is no longer up and running, but it was then. And I was a trail guide at that park and running around in the Minion in my 04 TJ. And a couple of friends brought AJ out, and his Jeep was down, and I had a seat, and I picked him up on the trail, and he's kind of been with me ever since.
That's great.
We're coming up on 8 years. Is that right?
Yeah, coming up.
It sounds like that's kind of that lost puppy story. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, but he's one of my favorite puppies.
Nice.
I'm annoying as all get out.
That's also true. He's still not quite broken. More training, old dogs, new tricks.
Well, we do have quite the carny group amongst us. Yeah, there's not very many. It's kind of interesting. I was having this conversation with somebody while we were at Florida Jeep Jam about how people come and go in the industry a lot, and they want to get in the industry, and then they work in it, and then they're out. Like, nope, this isn't for me, or they went back to their real life, and whatever the case may be. It's interesting. There's not very many long timers or old timers out there that have been in the industry for a long time. They're moving on to something else. COVID did that to a lot of companies. So we're kind of fortunate.
Well, and it is interesting
because talking about. Go ahead, Matson.
It's interesting because the more you meet people that have been in the industry for a long time, and how many have just kind of jumped around from company to company to company, right? Because you love the lifestyle, maybe the company changes, or you want to change yourself, and there's value to that, right? Because if you've been out there and you guys each have value working for another company and having that experience, and it's hard to find those people in this industry that have that experience, because those that have been around for a while, whether it's somebody like Lizard or somebody, these others that we know that have been around. And you're right. I was just thinking, you were saying this interesting carnies, the people that you attract, Corey, that are around you. And I've met many of these people through you, right? Just being out at events. Such an incredible, wide, diverse group of people, all with very different backgrounds, all with very different lifestyles and stories. And yet they're all incredibly cool people, nice people, and fun to be around. I mean, it's an interesting cadre, because I'm thinking about just seeing you in a group of people that from an event. Actually, just some of the video from Key West, right? And the people that hang around there, whether it's Armando or some of the others. And it is fascinating. It is absolutely fascinating. I mean, you guys are carnies. You enjoy that. You enjoy the lifestyle. It's important to you to get out and do that. And that's what I think makes you guys in this industry so interesting and so special.
Well, we definitely need to have our own little therapy sessions at certain periods throughout the year.
That's called wheeling.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you're doing it. Speaking of wheeling, so what is your go-to rig right now, Rachel?
Oh, so the nameless JK you see behind me, she does some light stuff. I mean, we go to Windrock on occasion with Selena, owns Trail 15, works at Nut House, not a paid endorsement. She's a really good friend of mine. So we get in wheeling when we can, but I'm sure Corey knows that the majority of the time show life takes precedence over what you want to do. And we tried to hook up in the Keys. They ended up being there the week before we were, and we just missed each other. And so we had the same reset, just a little different time. We've wheeled about everywhere. Also never been to S'more. So Corey, whenever you and Jesse get to S'more, please let us know. We'd like to join you for that. I've heard great things about the place, just never gotten there. Right. We mainly stick East Coast. I mean, I rarely go west of the Mississippi. I haven't been to Moab since that time when we wheeled with Jesse and Charlene and Waylon and that whole thing. So it's been
it was 15 or something like that.
Yeah, it was 15. So we haven't been to Moab in 6 years. I miss wheeling. I miss it.
So now it feels so bad.
Don't get wrong. We got a few spaces out here we can kind of go wheeling.
Yeah, right. we moved south.
It's all unmaintained county roads. Most people think it's just, when you tell people that, it's just dirt, and it's really not. I mean, they are some serious logging roads. I mean, there's spots where you can get kind of hectic with, and it's not far from the house. It's nothing extreme, but if you want to spend a Saturday, that's kind of a nice release if you got the day off.
Ohio isn't public land like West Virginia or places in Colorado that you can just go. You have to know somebody that knows somebody or do these county roads like we're talking about. There's just not a a plethora of parks like there are in places. I mean, we're close to Dirty Turtle. We're relatively close to, you know, Wildcat in Kentucky or Wind Rock in Kentucky or Tennessee. Sorry. I'm sorry.
It's on board.
So we get out when we can.
So 2 questions. What is your favorite trail?
Do I get an East Coast and a West Coast, or is it just one overall?
You can give me East Coast and West Coast. That's fine.
Sure.
If you can't decide.
I miss Clay Valley Dirt Park. I really do. We had some good things there. And
where's that?
I think the park where I was a trail guide that was on Ultimate Adventure 2015. It was a good park and good people, and that's where most of my fond memories lie.
And that was in Ohio?
And then, yes, it was out near Zanesville. Roseville, technically, but east of Columbus.
Gotcha.
And then West Coast. Oh, Cane Creek or Behind the Rocks. We did a night run with Casey on Behind the Rocks, and Rich Klein and his XJ at the time, seeing him take the hard line behind the rocks. That was a good time.
Wow.
Cool.
Very cool.
So we only have 2 of the Jeeps posed behind us right now, right? But he has 2 XJs. I also have a WJ, and then we have most of a TJ that hasn't made it here yet. So the other podcast, you guys were talking about people with yards full of Jeeps, and
we are them people.
We are those people.
Well, you know, it's we can actually see proof here because we don't usually see that. You know, this is great. I love the background.
You are welcome.
Setup.
Right.
So, and then we got the Rockslide engineering rig over there to my right, your left.
There you go.
Oh, that's the Gladiator. Nice. So tell us about that rig.
Well, it towed the trailer home from PCB. It is their newest edition. It is the 3.0 Eco Diesel.
Nice.
And it's kind of their East Coast marketing rig. Last year they let me borrow Gracie when I had to get my motor replaced on mine. Towing, I don't even know where's the trailer?
It's out front.
It's out front. So our carny life is a little different than Corey's, right? Like we tow a little cargo trailer around, and we do that with my 2-door most of the time. And that's because, as we talked about earlier, I was reluctant to JK and absolutely not JK Ewing. I'm sorry, I don't believe Jeep should have 4 doors. It's less people to ride with me, and I'm okay with that.
Selfish.
I am, but I have selfish moments. Yeah. But Tanner and I are really good friends, and he works at Rockslide, and we were talking to him and Kevin, and this Jeep needs to be up here for Bantam, and is doing a lot of, you know, the East Coast stuff. So having us use it to tow the trailer up here is towing that trailer with a 2-door is a mistake. I'll admit it.
It's kind of funny because that Jeep was at Daytona, and then Ricky took it back to his house, and then Jamie picked it up from Ricky's. Jamie drove it to Florida Jeep Jam. Then you guys picked it up and drove it to Ohio.
Yeah, it was kind of a last minute idea.
It's actually a really nice ride. I drove it all the way back.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a rule that he's not allowed to drive my JK. So then I was torn, right? So do I drive the new JT towing the trailer, or do I drive my JK? I was torn, and he drew the straw. So he got to drive the JT pulling the trailer. And the craziness, when I'm towing the trailer with my 2-door, I get on average 9-10 miles to a gallon. And then driving back here with him towing the trailer with the JT and me driving the JK by itself. And I mean, we're going through Tennessee, you know, I mean, there's real mountains, there's real terrain. It's not flat. It's not Kansas. We got about the same mileage. So me not towing a trailer in my 2-door, I'm getting about 16, and him towing the trailer with the JT, we were stopping at the same times, and that changes your wallet a little bit, you know.
Interesting.
Gas stops get expensive,
especially now.
40,000 miles a year, $3 a gallon. Corey, you're the math guy.
$3. There's nothing under 4 out here.
Oh yeah, another reason for you to move east, Matson.
Well, we got to supplement the government out here somehow, right?
But I will say, Californians were not putting gasoline in bags.
That's true. That's true.
That's
true. We can afford gas cans.
Or styrofoam coolers or laundry baskets.
Well, we have explicit laws against that out here. Costco won't let you do that.
They expect more from their members.
I only used that Tide bottle one time for gas, and I was in a pinch.
I was on an Air Force base using my cell phone as I was pumping gas and got yelled at by like some officer who was going down like, yeah, I should do that. You know, it's a big sign up there saying no cell phones. And I'm like, really? Yeah. Well, do you have a tin hat you wear at night too to protect your brain from the waves? Because aluminum foil.
That's when you're like, didn't you see the episode of Mythbusters where they proved that wrong?
Yeah.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Come on. What happened to that show?
Thankfully I was not in uniform, so I could be a bit more of an ass to him, but, and I was Navy. I was Navy on an Air Force base. So go figure. People. So this is great. So now what about a trail that you would love to go do that you haven't done?
Rubicon, 100%.
Really? Oh. You haven't done the Rubicon?
Yes.
Holy crap! Nope. We got to fix that.
Yeah, we need to fix that.
Well,
because isn't Bartact? I thought Bartact was didn't Bartact do something with JJ USA at one point, or was I thinking of a different company?
I don't think so.
That I think back before me, which I'm not well versed in talking about, but I think so. Don't quote me.
I won't quote you. No, you quoted yourself. I won't quote you. I could be totally off base and thinking of a different company, but that's fine.
What were you going to say, Rachel, about the Rubicon?
In a previous podcast, you were talking about how you've been to, all the states minus Maine and something. You're on your second round. You're on your right. You got to get Maine and Connecticut and something to be at all 50 twice, right?
Right.
So in one sense, I have you beat. In another sense, I don't. I've never been to Alaska and Hawaii.
Oh.
So if I go to both of them twice, then we'll be on the same level. So what I started doing is I started counting states that I've wheeled in.
Okay.
I've never wheeled California.
Never wheeled California at all?
Nope.
So that means
the last time I was in California, I was like 12.
Wow.
So my parents, who are,
and that's why you seem to have a very sensible head on your shoulders.
Oh, that's scary.
It infects you. It infects you.
Yeah, you're getting
now. Don't do that.
But that means you haven't been to like KOH and done Johnson Valley.
I've never been to Johnson Valley.
Wow. We got to remedy that. But I guess basically, if Bartact is based out here, like with Corey, it's like we don't need you to come to California, Corey. We'll take care of the California. You can go everywhere else. That's
exactly the agreement we have.
do need you to go to Nevada and Arizona and those states, but you don't need to come to California.
Don't come to California.
Stay out.
There's a certain other carny that we travel with that's always trying to get me to Utah and Arizona, and Tim.
Yep.
PSC Tim is forever trying to get us to come out and do Arizona and Trail Hero. And I would love to do Trail Hero. It just, because I'm here, East Coast shows take precedence over West Coast shows, and Mitch and the rest of the team are out there, and if they want to do a West Coast show, it's way more convenient.
Well, you guys are just going to need to take you're going to need to take a little Jeepcation and come out to the Rubicon with us.
A Jaycation.
Well,
a Jaycation.
There was rumors of a girls' trip, and Jessie, and I planned on picking on her, but since she's not sitting next to you, I guess I'll
go ahead and pick on her. Well, she'll listen to the episode. You can pick her on all you want.
It's
great. Hey, Jessie, what are we doing in September? September's a hot spot. What are we doing?
I know that her girls trip is Colorado.
When's that?
Which we had.
That is, please hold. That is the 10th of September.
So that's after your Labor Day trip.
Yes.
Which after the Labor Day trip, you guys are coming here. I'm dropping my trailer and we're following you out was always the plan. But
what?
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 Corey's got a blank stare on his face. For all of our listeners, sometimes you just have to get on YouTube and watch these things. It's a little more fun when it's like silence and a blank stare. Like, what? So now what we've got to do, we got to figure out getting you to California, get you on the Rubicon, and that's just gotta happen.
So our adventure on the Rubicon this year is going to be sometime I was just talking to Scott about this. We've got the first weekend in August. We have it on the calendar as August 8th through the 11th. Registration isn't up yet, but Scott was thinking maybe moving it a little bit, but we have some we can if we need to, but that's the second week in August. So what do you got going the second week of August?
Please hold. I could be available.
See?
I'll take the extra. Jake, I'll never make it.
It's kind of like wheeling a highway now these days, from what I've heard.
A broken highway.
Right.
That's a broken.
Well, it can't be any worse than Ohio roads.
The only thing is that big sluice is a lot easier because you don't have to go around a tree.
Yeah, no
anymore.
big tree anymore.
But other than that, it is tore up. The trail is still tore up. There's a whole section that we sponsor, and we're supposed to go out there and do some work on it and stuff, and we haven't done that yet. But ours is.
Well, let's do it.
Yeah.
There was a time I lived and died by trail maintenance. What are you guys doing? Let's go.
Hey, you're welcome to come on out. I fund a club to do it.
What are you doing,
easy.
Corey?
You just say when. I very rarely travel these days. I'm home quite a bit.
Thanksgiving of 2020. Sorry.
Go back and change our. That's again. We'll be able to go back and change our memories, right?
Right.
Little chips, change our memories.
Right.
I remember when we remember when we hung out like back in 2015, just you and I. There was a lake. I'm going all off in paths, and people just don't know where we're going on this podcast. That's what I love about this. For all of our listeners, thank you very much for joining us. And if you want a therapy session, I'm available at 916.
We've gone rogue.
Okay, so
I actually had notes. Like
you had notes. We'll talk about your notes. Corey does notes all the time. It doesn't work.
I tried to be prepared. I was so out of my element when he asked me to do this yesterday. I'm pumping gas somewhere in rural Tennessee, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? When are you gonna be home? You want to be on a podcast tomorrow?" I was like, yeah, sure. Where's my script? What are we talking about?" Because I seriously, I had to listen to any of them. I had to listen to yours, and I spent 4 hours of the drive yesterday just moving back through your podcast, so I had some general idea. I don't like being unprepared.
Well, this is why you were prepared, and you're very comfortable just because you realize that's all we do is sit there and shoot the shit. Exactly. And we just have occasionally we talk about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
I made notes this time. I have my little things this morning things that bug me is what I usually write down.
Chicken is all I can see. It says eat chicken.
Eat chicken.
Yes. Yeah, eat chicken.
Eat chicken. It's supposed to be CH. There's no E in that. That's apostrophe, and it's that's the cow. The big cows eat chicken.
Yeah, eat more chicken.
Eat more chicken. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, that's an advertisement for God's chicken, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. God's chicken. So, okay. So we got little things to just kind of cover and go over, and we also have we already asked you a couple of our favorite questions. But what's your favorite mod, Rachel? Under $500.
Am I supposed to be biased or unbiased?
Biased is totally fine.
Okay, wonderful. Because I am not a fan of the thing called swamp bum. You ever been in the heat sitting in your Jeep? It's not good. Buy a set of seat covers. Buy the right ones. Buy once, cry once.
Nice. I like it. So what does a set of front covers cost for a Bartact?
Oh, it depends. I'm going to go into my full show spiel now, right?
There we go.
Depends
So look.
entirely on what kind of Jeep you have, what kind of color combos you want, event pricing versus retail. You can do a TJ. The website pricing is $309, at least for right now. And then, you know, it gets more expensive as the Jeeps get more expensive, right? Because Gladiators have a lot more options than a simple TJ. So you get those leather Gladiators or JLUs that have the fold down console in the back, and those go.
The set's still under $500.
Yeah, you can absolutely get a front seat set any way you want it for under $500.
Well, it's good because my TJ red seat covers are now pink. So
they're not ours.
No, they're not. Absolutely not yours. Well, because somebody else had them on there before. I didn't buy those. I wouldn't buy a piece of crap like that, but I would buy a Jeep that had a piece of crap in there. Actually, it's funny story. Those are actually LJ seats in the front of mine because they were sitting in Cloakworks, and when my Jeep seats actually got tore apart by a tree going through the top of my Jeep into my seats. And I would like to shout out to Spiderweb Shade that the Spiderweb Shade moved out of the way and didn't get torn by the tree. It actually like stretched the Spiderweb Shade. It did not penetrate, and it went through and into the seat, penetrated the seat, broke a steering wheel, broke the hardtop, but did not mess with the Spiderweb Shade. So, and I bet if I had Bartact seat covers on there, I probably would have been protected there too.
Yeah, they're all engineered with this ripstop technology, so I would imagine you would have been okay. And at some point, we could probably test it, Matson.
He's definitely not okay today.
Now I got pink seats on my red Jeep. Yeah, I'm actually thinking about building that one up, Corey. I'm thinking that because the Gladiator is probably never going to be the rock crawler. It's just the overlanding family rig, right? But the which I do maybe need to get some like custom orange seat covers for that one. But I do need to get that. I think the TJ is going to go back to being a rock crawler. Now, if I can get myself on a list for an Atlas, in 3 years.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
That's another notable thing. We don't have the lead time that some other companies have right now.
Nice.
There's a benefit to,
there's no other companies in your marketplace. What are you talking about? There's only one company. It's Bartact. You don't have any competition.
Aw, hearts and junk.
Or as my son Jack started doing this. Like, look at my heart, Daddy. He's like 3 years old and he's doing this. Nice. That's sweet. Then his 5-year-old brother hits him inside the head. I train my kids right, apparently.
Fun.
Yes. Well, hey, favorite. Okay, so we got our favorite little tech. Corey, any tech tips, anything that you've picked up over the last week before we wrap up this amazing episode?
I don't really have, so I've got my brain is like, tech tips. So, we lost the trailer wheel and all that, and that hub assembly, whatnot, with the wheel studs being attached to a trailer hub. And I had posted on there, make sure you're checking your lug nuts. And then people gave me a hard time about over tightening lug nuts, and that's probably what broke them. And then we determined, no, that actually wasn't actually how that worked out. But
everybody has an opinion.
Everybody does have an opinion. And in part of my notes,
my opinion is we should go back to Missouri and start looking for it, and that gives an excuse to be in Missouri, right?
Right.
Scavenger hunt
for sure. We're still seeing all kinds of stuff out there, especially when it comes to sway bars, and we still get lots of questions on sway bars. Again, everybody has an opinion, and whether it's a trailer axle or a sway bar or how your Jeep is set up. And what it comes down to it is in my little note here, I'm trying to ball all this into one topic, and it comes down to consideration. And I'm going to say consideration because I think we're losing it when it comes to being considerate of others and their opinions and our space and people's needs. I mean, I don't know.
Are we supposed to be considerate, or are you saying we're too considerate?
I'm saying we have lost consideration for everybody else. We are.
Screw you.
I went to a gas pump twice yesterday where there's 2 vehicles parked at the only diesel pump and there's nobody in the vehicles. Again, that whole consideration.
We are just beginning to experience that.
Well, that's why I like the truck stops where they has the timer going. You pull in the truck stop, you pull the big truck stops, you pull in, and it actually has a timer. Like the moment the new truck pulls in, there's a timer showing up there how long that truck's been there. You haven't seen those?
I have not seen those.
Yeah. There's a timer. It starts going. It says how many minutes the truck. Big timer on each one of the stalls to see how long the truck's been sitting in that stall.
Huh. Well, I would like that. Now, my concern is what happens when the timer is like too long, and then the guy just goes, "Yeah, whatever."
Well, then you just say they're justified walking by and saying, you're justified walking by saying, "Hey, you're a dick."
Right. Yeah, just get over yourself.
But there's that whole thing, right? Like you're supposed to move your truck forward. And I've been in that situation where they've moved the truck forward, and I've pulled in and like filled the RV up and went inside and paid and came back out and was like, I can't move now still. Because the one in front of us hasn't moved
in front of you. Right.
Right. Because he went and took a shower.
It's interesting to me. I think from a
as a rule of driving anything that big.
I just think it's funny that as a country right now, our consideration of others is out the window, and we just don't pay attention. How many times we get blocked out at a grocery store in the middle of an aisle? Like, can I get around you? And it's like, no, I'm going to walk down the middle and I'm going to swerve with my cart really slow. Like, what are we doing? Can you get out of my way? I'm in a hurry. So
your aisles
that's your problem, Corey. You're in a hurry. You have to slow down. You were just in Florida. It's the South. You were in the South. It's island time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, island time.
Island time.
I gotta go. I got busy. Things to do. Damn it.
Consideration.
Island time.
Consideration is our tech
tip. Consideration is our tech tip. Our tech tip of the week. Be considerate. Next week, we'll talk about being competent. There is a difference.
Or incompetent.
Incompetent. Competent or incompetent? The question of the day.
Or
ladies and gentlemen, the Modern Jeeper Show is going to be changing its name.
We could be important or impotent.
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah.
Careful.
Famous or infamous. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you all for joining us for another great episode of the Modern Jeeper Show.
How do we get a hold of Rachel?
With our new co-host, Rachel.
How do we get a hold of Rachel?
Yes. How do we get a hold of Rachel?
If you can spell my name right, you can find me.
Right there. So what does that mean?
The shows at Bartact is a good email. All the social medias. If you reach out to the Bartact Facebook, Bartact Instagram, any of it, you're going to get me.
Fantastic. That's great. And then
I'm always happy to help.
If you're near Washington Courthouse, Ohio, you can come use their shop.
I'm closer to Cincinnati than I am Washington Courthouse. I'm not sure why that's showing.
I don't even know what Washington.
The shop is not done. However, AJ will be happy to assist you when it is.
Nice. That's great. Well, that's part of the fun of looking for a place is one that has a shop. Like, oh, I can put a lift in here. Oh, that's cool. And then all my friends can go over and use it and work on my rig. Oh yeah. Well, how many acres do you have?
Not quite 2.
Nice. 2 acres, house, barn. Is that classified as a barn? Like are there rules out there for building a barn?
Technically it's a pole barn, yeah.
So if you're allowed to build a barn, but maybe not a workshop. But there's rules out here in California like that. Like you could put a barn on your property.
There are no rules here.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, there's rules.
There's one rule.
There's rules in Ohio, but like where we're at, we're out by a lake, and there's really no there's no permits out here for building a building. Like the only time you need a permit is like if you're running sewer or water or adding a driveway across the ditch.
I legitimately had There's no permit that I needed to build this. Nothing.
Wow.
Nice.
That's awesome. It reminds me of that $75 permit that they had to pay at Rock Hard, and for building a like 20,000 square foot building, and he was late on his permit, so including penalties, it was $75
Nice.
up there in Nebraska. In California, it'd be like filing fees, probably 100,000. I don't know. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. No, this is a 40 by 32.
42 by 30.
42 by 30. I'm sorry.
By 12.
Never trust a woman with measurements.
24, 36, 20. What?
Yes.
It's the other way around. All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us. Again, check out Bartact. You can reach Rachel and you can see her name spelled there right in front of us. So you can track her down and stalk her if you want to, and encourage her to continue to be a part of the Modern Jeeper Show. We found a new co-host, and Corey, who is Jessie-less, but will she be back next week?
No, she'll be back like tomorrow or the next day, something like that.
Well,
We have
she'll be on the
Moab
show next
Adventure.
You know,
Yeah,
honestly, with all the stuff you need to talk about, Corey, I would encourage you to start doing a daily vlog. Just go up there and just purge for an hour.
I have a list of things that I have to do today that is not going to get done already. So
I saw your list. It said chicken.
It's that chicken.
yeah, eat chicken. This is just my show notes.
Eat chicken. Eat more chicken.
Eat more
I don't
chicken.
say beer drinking on it.
You can reach us, Matson at MetalCook.com, Corey at MetalCook.com, and Jesse at MetalCook.com. Of course, you can find us in Modern Jeeper, ModernJeeper Show.com for the show itself, ModernJeeperAdventures.com with Moab coming up very quickly. And of course, Tillamook next, but Tillamook's all sold out. And then there will be the Rubicon trip and then the Colorado trip. Lots more to talk about that later. But for all of this, my friends, guests, listeners, viewers, make sure to smash that like button and share it and let everybody know that you love this wonderful episode. And we will see you on the trails.
Cheers.